Mr. Raymond, we are ready to go, sir. Recording is started. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today on the course on Environology. Environology introduces a more logic-based approach to understanding livable human dwelling and environmental influences. And we have the best person in the country to explain this to us, Master David Koh. But before I turn it over to Master David Koh, here is Ms. Min to say a few words and give you the rules and regulations. Over to you, Min.
Raymond, thank you so much. So this is a very beautiful afternoon with every one of you. I wouldn't say there's any rules and regulations, just a couple of reminders. The class is currently ongoing on both physical class. I've blurred my background. We have a couple of friends over here with us over in health. And of course, I have all of you here online with us. So I'll be your virtual assistant or virtual tutor for the day. You may have some questions along the way. Please make sure you jot it down because as you go through the class, there'll be quite a fair bit of information get unfold, and that those questions might be answered even before we get to the question and answer sessions, right? So also, I got to know from Carolyn, we are starting up or already set up a WhatsApp group chat, right? Yeah, Carolyn, we have a WhatsApp group chat. Okay. Alex, just give me a sec. Yeah, Alex, thank you. Just give me a sec. Let me move away from here. All right. Okay, is this better now? I hope you don't have the echo as yet. Right? Okay, so why you are hearing echo is because the speaker and my microphone is rather near, so I've moved my way out from the other PC. So yes, we will have the conversation along the way. I'll be your virtual tutor from time to time. If you have any questions or not, feel free, especially for our colleagues over the Zoom side of the world, please make sure you raise your hand and I'll come to your assistant. All right. So without further ado, stay back and relax, and of course, enjoy your class on beginner of environology. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody, online and also in the classroom. You already have introduced myself. My name is David Koh. My CV is already been published everywhere. I don't want to waste time on that anymore. Let's get started with this. Okay. Where am I? It's not moving. Okay. So this is the letters are very small. It's actually the out overview of what we intend to do. The class basically on environology divided into 4 different parts, which is the contents including identification, selection, matching, and energizing. We will be covering this over today and the next weekend. To start off, I will give you a very brief introduction of the history of environology, and then we'll start a new language called the binary language, and from then on, we'll go through the 4 steps. The 4 steps are, as already on the screen, as you can see, is identification, selection, matching, and energizing. Especially for those online, I do not know if I'm going too fast, you better prompt me to say, yes, I'm going too fast, you don't understand, or you might a bit too slow, a bit boring, then I will speed it up. For those in the class, it'll be easier, just raise your hand. By the end of this session, what will you give your take-home value? First, you will be able to have a basic understanding of environology and its history. Then you also learn a new language, called binary language, and how it is being adopted in environology. And 3 is the understanding of how personal qua is being derived. And of course, then we have also the understanding of the application of qua in selection of a good location, then the criteria of a good location, the understanding and the others I will be done on the second day, the understanding of how to utilize good location, critical and essential spots within the house not to be neglected, the understanding of how energizing takes place and it being expedited. So with that little explanation of what we are going to do these 2 days, let's get started. First, let's talk about the history of environology. The history basically it derived from what we call feng shui, basically. Now in feng shui, it has come a very, very long history. Why did we not use the word feng shui anymore? Because over the last over 2,000 to 3,000 years, originally the feng shui knowledge was being curtailed, was being kept secret with the imperial court. So a little bit here and there being leaked out, and the people then that are educated people, although the scholars are very, very few. In China those days, less than 2% are educated. So therefore, when the thing being passed on and being filtered on becomes so little, and only those very, very few scholars can follow. And even those who can follow are very, very little. And hence, it becomes a hocus-pocus thing. The Taoists will take it on, the monk will take it on, and a lot of people will pretend that they know a lot, but actually they will give you a word, very special word. In Chinese, they say, 听给不好洗脑, meaning to say, this is God's sense sort of knowledge they cannot share with other people. So the next question we must ask is, if 听给不好洗脑, who sit out to you? So it is actually a whole hoax. But let me somehow give you the basic background. First, one of them, the original one in the Zhou dynasty, is a person who actually located the first city in the Zhou dynasty, Zhou Wang's dynasty. Zhou Wang did not form Zhou dynasty. He was the father of the founder, which is Zhou Wang. Zhou Wang did not actually locate the city. It was his brother. Zhou Gong actually locate the place. But the actual person who locate the place is by the name called Peng Lai. And it was recorded in history. He actually surveyed everywhere, every corner of the county and found that this is the best place. And he made a big written record to Zhou Gong. And hence, the city was then founded. The current Xi'an, which is what we know about. But those days it was not like that. But anyway, it was founded by him. There was a first person in history that mentioned that it was feng shui. But the word feng shui was not used. Those days they used different words. They used or pu. Pu and pu is two different things. The word zhan means to say they used it to pray to God. It's sort of throwing dice or throwing stones and things like that, looking at bones. That's called zhan. Pu is actually survey. That means you look at surveying, you look at the place. So we must understand that zhan and pu is two different things. So today when we talk about zhan pu, we cannot bind them together and say that is feng shui. Feng shui is only pu, has nothing to do with zhan. And then from then on, the next person who has talked about this, written the drips and threads of writing, is called the guy called Qing Wu. And since up to him, the feng shui word in China had changed from feng shui to Qing Wu Zixue. So the name feng shui started with the word Qing Wu. And then but later on, a guy called Ge Pu in the Jin dynasty, after the Three Kingdoms, he actually written the first book on feng shui, but mainly focusing on burial ground. And of course, since then, practically everybody who talk about feng shui, we refer to him as he's a founder, he's a Xizhou of feng shui. And of course, very funny, if people want to refer to him, if you ever can buy the book is actually available in the market, but it's written in the ancient Chinese language. And as a result of which, so many words nobody can understand. And the funny part about it is in his book, he did not mention about God, he did not mention about ghosts, he did not mention about placing, he did not mention about praying. He only talked about landform and he talked about geology. And then from then, he comes to the next person. About same time, his name is called Guan He. Guan He actually written many, many books, but these books are all combined into 10 chapters. And these 10 chapters are very rojak sort of thing. You know, sometimes say about this, sometimes say about that. Not many people can also understand him. There are such books in the market. And then, of course, the next person who actually was a founder of Eight Nation is a guy called Yi Xing. Yi Xing actually was a monk. His job was actually a surveyor. The current map in China, actually want to thank him for that, because he was the first person actually physically survey and actually draw the map of China. The current map actually was his basis. He actually originally he didn't want to work for the government. The government forced him, so he turned himself into the monk. See, as a monk, I cannot become a minister. But somehow the Tang Dynasty emperor forced him to say, yeah, even as a minister, you got to do this for me. And I've got the next person, very, very famous person, he called Yang Yunsong. Yang Yunsong actually the other families that another group of feng shui was based on him. He's also during the Tang Dynasty. And of course, next person is Pai Puyi, which is a legendary person, so famous that the film show used his name to do all sorts of film show. But he wasn't like that, but he was all exaggerated. I knew for those interested in our chat book, in our chat box, we can talk, I can tell you all the stories about it. I've written about this in the Nanyang Xiangpao for a term of 3 months. I've written a lot of this in the Star, also mentioning them in Nanyang, written in Chinese, in Star, written in English. And of course, there are many other founders of their work. So many of them, some of them have written some books, some of them have never written any book. If you follow them, Huangdi was a name that everybody misused his name. He was supposed to be the first emperor in China. So anybody talk about historically very, very scientific, historical, very influential, they will say, oh, this was mentioned by Huangdi, this was done by Huangdi, including the medical canon. And of course, there are also the second person, Chu Lizi, as a Qing dynasty, Xi Huangdi's uncle. And of course, I can tell all this story, their background until the cow come home, but not that the other may not interest you. But there are, if you're interested, to be able to find them and say, what did they say? Did they teach you how to pray to ghosts or pray to God? You will then be able to get yourself some basic idea about what original feng shui was all about. And then of course, already long ago, it was used after Pu. Then he went to using a name called Kanju. And after Kanju, they used a name called Qingwu. After Qingwu, they used a name called Qingnan. After Qingnan, by the time it reached Pu, the name became feng shui. And by the time it reached David Ko, it became environology. Then we have changed it to have a new name. And this is what they call Kanju. Kanju means, if you look at it, it's not a toy. It's actually inside there, it's a mechanically a very sophisticated equipment, whereby on top there you see a person standing with his hand pointing at one direction. And that is pointing south. And this is actually what he stands on the wooden rod is actually a compass. It was done in that manner. That time they did not use it to do feng shui. They used it for war. You know, those days when they go for war, they actually on chariot, on horses. And people are running by the hundreds of thousands. And of course, they're doing the taro. You see a lot of dust all flying all over. The army do not know north, east, south, west. So these chariots become very important where they look at it. Where is he pointing? Oh, he's pointing there. So there is south. Where are we going? We're going north. Then we go the other way. Where are we going? We're going west. You know, to follow is pointing to be able to know north, east, south, west, and how to fight a war. And subsequently invented, and on your far left there was a plate, yeah, with a spoon, and that spoon was designed in such a way that if you were to just give it a push, it will give you a north-south direction. The handle of the spoon is pointing as north, the others are pointing as south. And then from then on, you went on to the center one, which is the current compass that you use. People use, most of the people that they use, because the far right is the one that I have invented, which is a binary compass in English. You don't need to learn all the complicated Chinese word. You don't need to learn I Ching. You can use this compass as well. And of course, what we provide, we will provide you a transparency of plastic that you can buy any compass and paste it on. Then, though it's written in Chinese, but now you don't need to learn Chinese to do this. And this is the development of feng shui in history from Puti to Puji. Puti is looking for landform. Puji is the feng shui for looking at the house. And then you go to Qingwu, and then go to Kanji, and then you go to feng shui, and then you go into environology, which in Chinese, we call it Huanjing Renwen Sentai Xue. How this word come into picture? I mean, it has been always a problem for me, especially during my earlier, I conducted many classes, including PAM, including MSID. They all, why? Because they are not only Chinese. A lot of them don't understand Chinese, and a lot of them are Malays, or the Indians, all sorts of races. I mean, if you want to learn feng shui in original Chinese method, you got to learn I Ching first, and then you got to learn Bazi first, and then you got to learn so many other things. So they find it a great difficulty. Before you teach feng shui, you teach so many other, you have to learn the language first. So therefore, there's always been a problem until I was in Jiao Tong University. I was lecturing in Jiao Tong University. I wrote for them a master paper, master examination for feng shui. And that was conducted, the first ever proper Chinese educated syllabus conducted in Jiao Tong University. So they keep on asking, they said, hey master, can we do some proper Chinese word? Because feng shui, this word has been so adulterated, and everybody thought this is Chinese hocus pocus. Today, a lot of Malaysian, a lot of overseas people still think feng shui is Chinese hocus pocus nonsense. So from there, we decided to coin something. So I coined them in Chinese word. Environology coined later. I coined them into Huanjing, Renwen, Sentai Xue, to reflect that what actual feng shui meant. He's talking about the environment, talking about human being, talking about the living thing. Anything that is dead, we don't care. It's already buried. Yeah? So therefore, that is what the Huanjing Sentai Xue meant to represent feng shui. Then, but I come back to Malaysia, I got a problem because Malaysia, I cannot keep on mentioning Huanjing Sentai Xue. How many people understand Chinese? Yeah. So therefore, I coined the word. And together with my wife, we coined this word called environology. And that was some 8 years ago. And the first time we published it was together with Kang Sai Ping, when I was advisor of Kang Sai Ping for 5 years. We published it under environology. And when I wrote for STAR, also I used environology as a heading for feng shui. So we replaced the word feng shui totally. So here you are, one of the introduction class on feng shui into environology. So today we're going to talk environology. The word feng shui is going to be in the background that yes, historically it comes from there, but now it is a new language, it's a new science. So therefore, we are talking about the feng shui and ancient text available. You can, if you want to look for the text, if you have got a high level of Chinese, yes. A lot of the ancient books are written in ancient Chinese, which is very difficult to understand. For example, Yang Feng Shui on Dwelling House by Wang Ti. Yes, there was such a book. Zhou Li is architecture and custom of architecture by Zhou in the Zhou dynasty, basically from Peng Lai. And then of course, Guanzi, which is the one I was talking about, who wrote 10 volumes of all sorts of mixture and was doing in the Chunqiu period, spring-autumn period. It focused on town planning and architecture. There is the Burial Ground book by Ke Fu. That was the most famous in history until now. And then the other one is the landform, the doubts on landform, the identifying of burial point. All these 3 books were by the other person called Yang Yunsong. And Jian Guan was the other family of feng shui based on this one. And then the other one is for the basis of feng shui by Zheng Wenchuan. Zheng Wenchuan actually was the Sifu of, not Sifu, actually is the father of Lai Puyi. And of course, the other one, the Heavenly Book, the other by Lai Puyi himself. The Lai Puyi's book was actually most easily available, but most difficult to understand because the language that he used was talking about the star, which star is where, which star is where. To start with, where is the star? How you want to think about binocular also, you cannot understand the name of the star in Chinese, of course. So therefore, let's then come back to our basic 4 steps after talking about the history. Well, I hope I didn't bore you too much on the history of feng shui. So after this, we're talking about the new language for these 2 weeks. Our roadmap for the next 2 weeks, this week and next week, is first we talk about history of Feng Shui, which we have covered, the binary language, which we are going to cover, and then after that, the other 4 steps. Let's now start with the binary language. Everything else need to have a basis, and we must have a common language to talk. Either we do a new binary language, or we start teaching you, or I start teaching you I Ching first. You have a choice. Everybody prefer new language rather than I Ching, because to learn I Ching before you learn Feng Shui, you need 6 months to learn I Ching first. So 6 months later, we're going to start this class. So let's start with binary language. This is also another formulation that I've invented. You see, the whole world has been using binary. I did not start binary. Binary is a language used by a lot of people, but everybody adopted differently. The people in computer will use ASCII, because they learn ASCII, which is also 0 and 1. DNA also use 0 and 1. And different is how many bits that you use. ASCII, they use 6 to 8. And DNA use 2 to 4. And then the mathematics, you can have numerous number of bits that you want. And then you can use the Pakwa, you can use it in Malay or Islamic Feng Shui called Ilmu Ramal. The word Ramal is prediction. So a lot of people say Islamic do not allow prediction. I showed them a book that they did prediction. It's called Ilmu Ramal. Ramal is Ramalan Kati Cuaca. Ramal is Ramalan, it's actually prediction. Okay, these are the number of things we can have: 5 bits, 6 bits, 7 bits, 8 bits, 10 bits, 16 bits to 30 bits of binary codes to form a language. Now, in our case, we adopt a set of 3. We call it the trigram. And when 2 trigrams overlap each other, it becomes a hexagram. So what you want to learn about environology now is we start with trigram, and then we do with hexagram, and from then on, we develop into the rest of environology that you are going to learn. In binary, they use 0 and 1. 0 carries no value wherever it places. 1 carries value. Now here I'm going to go a bit slow. There will be some example. You got to understand this very, very well. If you don't understand this, I don't know what you come here for. You got to understand it, okay? So also it depends on who is where 0 and 1, where is it situated? Where is it located? For example, if we have a trigram, we have a 0, and 0. If there are 3 0 in that line, the value becomes 0 because 0 got no value. Yeah. When we write, it's from left to right, but we read, it's from right to left. So 0 at any position, no value. And understand, right? Any question needed on this? No? Yes? Okay. Then we'll continue. So if 0, 0, 0 is equal to 0, 0, 0, 1, because 1 is not 0 got no value, 1 got value. 1 on the first position is equal to 1. If 1 is on the second position, it's 2, because any position up towards the left is double of the one on the right. Okay, let me give me some examples, if you understand. Okay, for example, 0, 0, 0, like we say, is 0. 0, 0, 1 is 1. 0, 1, 0 is double of the first one. So therefore, 1 plus 1 is 2, right? If 0, 1, 1 is equal to 1 plus 2. So therefore, it's 3, right? If it's 1, 0, 0, it is nothing. 0 plus 0 plus 2. 2 times 2 is 4. So 1, 0, 0 is equal to 4. 1, 0, 1 is 4 plus 1 is 5. 1, 1, 1 is 4 plus 2 plus 1. So therefore is 7. Are we clear? Yes? Last time we examination, but now we only give you homework later. So therefore we continue from here. You can see, if we see the position, the first position, second position, and the third position, it becomes 1, 2, 4. The double of the previous position, like that. So 0, 0, 0 is equal to 0. 0, 0, 1 is equal to 1. 0, 1, 0 is equal to 2. 0, 1, 1 is equal to 3. What if it is 1, 0, 0? It becomes 4. 1, 0, 1, it becomes 5.
There's a question online.
Yes.
Shannon mentioned she's a bit lost on the 1 and 0.
Okay.
So if you can slow
All
down.
right, okay.
And
Okay, like
just-
this.
just wanna be
Let's
example.
let's repeat a little bit. You see, when we write numbers, because we learn English. So therefore, when we write from left to right, 0, 0, 0, or 0, 0, 1. But when we count numbers in binary, it's the other way around. It's from right to left. If 0 on the first position, which is written on the screen, which is on the right side, therefore it represents 0. So if it's 0, 0, 1, the 1 carries a value. 0 no value, but 0, 1 carry value. So 0, 0, 1, the first one represents value 1. When it becomes 0, 1, 0, because the 1 shifts to second position. Second position is double of the first position. Since the first position is 1, the second position becomes 2. Shannon, have I lost you here? If not, we continue, yeah? Okay, then if it's 0, 1, 1, therefore we got 1 on from the right, yeah? 1 plus 2. 1 plus 2 is equal to what? Is equal to 3. Because subsequently, when we learn environology, we only give you numbers. The number to be written either in number or number in binary. And the number can be very, very big. You can go up to 63, 64, all sorts of numbers. That you got to write this number in binary form. Of course, not one day, but at the end of this class, you can. All right. So therefore, let's continue the trigram and the value. The trigram now 1, 0, 0. So we got no value, 0 from right to left again. No value plus no value plus 4. So 4 plus 0 is equal to 4. Have I lost you? Okay. Now, number 6 there is 1, 0, 1. So therefore, it's 4 plus 1. 4 plus 0 plus 1 is equal to 5. Correct? Yes. Now, if it's, the next one is 1, 1, 0. So therefore, it's equal to 4 plus 2 plus 0 is equal to 6. Are we here? Are you with me? Yes, huh? Okay. Then what about 1, 1, 1? Is equal to 4 plus 2 plus 1. Or I read the other way around. 1 plus 2 plus 4, which is 7. So trigram, there are only 8 numbers. What are the numbers? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 0 is a number. 0 is not nothing. 0 is a number. When we talk about value, 0 carries a value. What's the value? The value is 0. Right? So therefore, it represents the pakwa. Trigram is actually a pakwa. Why pakwa? Why only 7? Because there's another value, there's a 0 value. Yeah? Okay, can we proceed from here? Yes. Okay, because the positioning. That's why I said when we write binary, the writing is from left to right, but the counting is from right to left. Okay, so for example, 1, 0, 0, it should be read as 0, 0, 1 the other way around. When you write, you should write 0, 0, 1. But we are trained in English, so automatically we want to write from left to right. It is our habit of writing. Well, binary has to play like this. Any number that in any position, when there's 0 in any position, it represents no value. No value means 0. 0, 0, 0 is no value, no value, no value, 0. Right. And 1 has got value, but depends where it stands. If it stands in the first position, the value is 1. If it stands in the second position, the value is 2. If it stands in the third position, it's double of the previous value. The previous value was 2. So now the value is 4. Understand? So therefore, 1, 0, 0 is no value plus a value. What value is that? That value is the double of the previous. Where is the double? The previous value? Previous value is 2. Yeah. The previous place, if it is a 1, then therefore the position is 2. The position, the value is 2. Though the number here written on the board is 0, but the position is carries to value 2. But when you write it in 0, no value. But you write it 1 as 1, then you got value. For example, if you look at number 7 then. 1, 1, 0. Yeah. So therefore, no value plus a 2 plus a 4. So 4 plus 2 is equal to 6. Yes. That's why it's a new language. Like when we go to school, we never learn ABC. First day also we got confused. So you learn A, tomorrow you learn B, you learn one at a time. But today you want to learn 64 in one go. So you got to catch up with it. Yes? Whatever you record today, go back, you possibly want to go through this again. By the time you reach next Saturday, you should be like that already. Huh? Have I answered your question? Okay. So therefore, if you write it as 1, 1, 1, supposedly it should be the other way. Yeah? 1 value plus 2 value plus 4 value is how many? 7. Yeah. Okay. Now I want you to be very, very clear up to this point. If you were to come back again to start with the binary from trigram, it's going to be very, very cumbersome. From then on, you're going to remember this. That's why it's good that you take pictures or you copy we allow you to download, we allow you to copy because you may want to refer again and again until a day that you all is in your brain or in your blood already. And this got to be a language like you learn the 26th alphabet. You got to be as good as it. And you can mix it in any form. You still can remember BAD is bad, DOG is dog. You must be able to do that. Like this one. People mention to you 1, 0, 0, 0, 4 number. You cannot go by inside. You got to start count nothing, 4, or 8. So therefore it's 8. Huh? Okay, let's go through this. Okay. So therefore, the one in horizontal is the Chinese Pakwa. The first one is the binary now, we make it stand up into vertical. The horizontal 3 line is the vertical 3 lines. It's the same. Yes. So what is the value of the Chinese vertical 3 line? Is also a horizontal 3 line is same as horizontal vertical 3 line. Vertical 3 line is how many? 1 plus 2 plus 4. What is the value? What is the value? 7. Yes. And then subsequently all the same. It's a broken line, unbroken line, unbroken line. You have put it vertical stand up, it becomes a 1, 1, 0. The value becomes nothing plus 2 plus 4 is equal to 6. Yes? I mean, for those who have learned ASCII, to you, it's just binasa, chicken one. Who knows, no computer, this one to them, they are learning million years ago. But for newcomer, you'll never learn ASCII, you'll never learn binary. This is a bit tough beginning. Because we're going to equate the line and the 0 into the value. Okay, so therefore the same thing applied that we just now say 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. It's the same, except we add on the Chinese trigram on for you. The vertical line is the same. The horizontal line is the Chinese Pakwa only. Yes? Can understand the change of positioning and the way we draw it, either vertical or horizontal. Yes? I don't want to give you the Chinese name because I don't want to complicate you further, but just for fun of it. 1, 1, 1 on the horizontal line is called Qian Gua. 0, 1, 1 on the horizontal line is actually called Tui Gua. 1, 0, 1 on sleeping on the horizontal line is called Li Gua. So therefore, Qian, Tui, Li, Xun. I'm sorry, 跟离跟砍退跟kun. That's what it means. Yeah. Okay. So therefore, if we were to, we just repeat again, if it is from 2 trigram to make a hexagram. But let me stop here for a while. You all have no question here? Understand already? Or want to go through one more round? Don't need, yeah? Yes. Before I go into double trigram. Can? On the line, online, anybody have a question on this? Yes.
Any questions so far? From
Okay, say. Yes, name the question.
Sorry, I missed the 肯卦 and when you're going through, which one is
Yes.
肯卦 and 华? I missed
第一
that part.
卦，第一卦三画，每一段的就叫乾卦，乾坤的乾。I will prefer you not to mix up with Chinese because 你白内热搞不掉，你还要加上 Chinese 你就乱了。我可以告诉你，没问题，但是你要两个去对比就麻烦了。你要不你就学中文的，中文的
No, I'm good with English.
文的。
Sorry. I thought that
你
was
告诉你，
important.
你再下去你更乱了，六画卦你就更乱了。To remember one is already, remember trigram is already tough. Remember hexagram is even tougher. If you are very complex, very well versed with I Ching, fine. But the class is not like you. They are not very well versed in I Ching. So therefore, we got to leave it in our discussion chat. All right, can or not? Possible? Can I have?
All good.
Can? 可以吗? Okay, let's go to trigram. One trigram plus another trigram overlapping each other. Yeah. So, for example, on the trigram we got 0, 0, 0, and then got 0, 1, 1, and 1, 1, 1, which is 0, 3, and 7. What if they duplicate, they overlap? 0, 0, 1, dot 1, 0, 1 now becomes 6 line. Can you do that? And tell me how far is the value, right? Possible? Okay. The first line from the right, first line is 1. Second line, second position is 0, so there's nothing. But the positions that carry value of 2, but in this case it's 0. The third line, the third position is actually 4. So 4 plus 1 is 5. But now another trigram have another one. We cannot read the trigram separately because we read them as 6 lines in one go. Yes, so therefore 1, 2, 4, the next position is double of 4. Is what? Is 8. Yes, so 8 plus 4 plus 1. What do you get? Okay. 13. Okay, you got it? Become 4 plus 8 plus 4 plus 1 is 13. Are you with me? Yes? Question? Okay, next one. If it's 0, 1, 0, dot 1, 1, 1, the first 3 line is equal to 1 plus 2 plus 4 is 7. 7 on the line, on line number 4, which is carry the value of 8 is 0. So consider no value there. But after that, there's another value, which is a double of 8. So it is 16. So 16 plus the other one, like this. It becomes plus 7, it becomes 23. Are you with me? Yes. Now, what if it's the other one? If it's 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. That is a maximum value of a 6th line. 63. Plus the original no value 0 becomes 64 value. So I Ching 64 Kwa is represented all here. Yes? Okay, now this one at the end of the class, we will give you homework to do this before you come for the next lessons. You got to do this. I'm just prompting you. Don't need to start thinking. We'll give you enough time to do exercise. Okay. So you got to list down 64 hexagram and calculate its value like this. Yes. We start all over again. Just on this, and then instead of doing only trigram, we will have 6 lines. We'll show you later. But every one of these trigram, they also can represent something, not just represent number. For example, yes, a 0, 0, 0, it is by itself in value is 0. But when we talk about yin and yang, a 0, 0, 0 is considered as a yin. Yes, because unbroken line, 1 is yang. Broken line is called yin. 1 yin, 2 yin, 3 yin, also yin. A million yin, still yin. All right. So therefore, a 0, 0, 0, value 0 is yin. What does it represent? It also represents the Mother Earth. What it can also mean, it can also represent in the family manner. You want to talk about family in the family. 0, 0, 0 represent who? Then it can also represent as a mother. That's why we say Mother Earth, ma. Yes, it can also represent in the society as a elderly lady. This you got to copy, and we keep referring this as time goes on. We keep on referring to this chart 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1 because of a 1. There's one single yang. One single yang, you consider this trigram as yang. What does it mean? It still means Earth. It also means the youngest son or a teen male. Why youngest son? Because the mother, the first son the mother carries is a boy or a father, mother, but give the first birth to a son. The son is the youngest son. And this is a representation and what it represents in different environment. On Earth science, on our universe, you talk about whether Earth or water or wood and things like that. But when it comes to family, you will then refer to whether it's the father or the mother or the son or the daughter. And this is the chart that is given to you. I give you one at a time. This one will only give you the yin, the universe plus the family tree of a person. So therefore, 0, 0, 0 represent mother, 0, 0, 1 represent young son, 0, 1, 0 represent second son, 0, 1, 1 become the middle age or second daughter, become the eldest daughter, become the middle age girl, middle age lady. Why do I don't want to give you the Chinese Kwa name here? Because I gave you only an indication earlier on. When we learn binary, we learn in English, we cannot mix up with I Ching first. Unless you want to go through 6 months of I Ching, then we come back here. I mentioned earlier on just now. So we do not want to get involved with I Ching at this point in time, because there's only 2 Saturdays. We got 100 Saturdays, we do it. Not now, okay? Now, let's go into other representation. For example, if we use representation on just now about 4, now another 4. 1, 0, 0 here represent young, represent wood, it represent eldest son. 1, 0, 1 represent fire, represent yin, represent second daughter. 1, 1, 0 is considered yin, represent as metal, as the youngest daughter or the teen girl. 1, 1, 1 here represents 7, which is the young, and so metal, but it represents the father or the old man. It is totally the reverse of 0, 0, 0. 1 is a mother, this is a father. Yes? And mean someone prompted, is that question? Okay, let's continue. Now, when this line, every one of them has got relationship, everyone has got relationship with another one. Remember? Now we give look at the representation. 1, 1, 1, which is a 7. 7 and the relationship with the other, with 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, all the others, they have some connection between them. A 1, 1, 1 and a 0, 0, 0, they are considered as natural bonding, natural harmony. They are in harmony. Why? One is the old father, one is the old mother, ma. Yeah, one is a male, one is a female. So therefore, they naturally become harmony. But what if it is 1, 1, 0 with a 0, 0, 1? It also because young little girl with a young little boy, they are playmates. 1, 0, 1 plus 0, 1, 0, they are middle-aged people, they are ready to get married. They can go paksa, same age. So therefore, they are also in harmony. Then you 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, they are also in harmony. You can see something very unique here when the pairing was done. They have got first, they got a yin yang. In yin yang, they're equal. 2 in age position, they are also equal. So therefore, they can pair and they are considered harmony. Then the other one becomes as 111 if it is comparing with 110. 110 is what? Become a little girl. Remember? Just now we're talking about, remember the little girl here? 110, yes? 6 yin metal, youngest daughter. So if we consider the father and the youngest daughter is always most loving. Whatever she wants, he gives. Become a human relationship. Not that he don't give his wife, but giving the comparison. So here on the pairing and the relationship between one trigram to another trigram, they are divided into harmony, wealth, health, and advancement. But on this introduction class, I don't have the time to explain this in the great detail. You come for the other subsequent later class, we will give you all the details of why it's like that. There is a mathematical equation to this. All right. So now, I've given you some examples, simple example like father and mother, pairing, bonding, father and young girl, loving. Is there any otherwise? Okay. Now, then on the magic square, when these trigram were placed in a magic square, they're in that manner. Now, what you can see, the 010 is as number 1 and 101 is in the south. They are placed in such a manner. The placing of this magic square do not follow binary value. Why? 010 in binary value is 2. But when it comes into magic square, it becomes position, become 1. There is a mathematical equation to it, there's a reason to it, but at the introduction class is given to you. Why our north is on the we are written on the north on top and 9 is written below. Originally, it wasn't like that. Originally in China, 1 is below, 9 is on top. But because in Malaysia, we follow the English law, our architecture law, our design law, our north-south is already pointing, the arrow of north is already pointing towards north, pointing towards the top. This is because we come from imperial English-based school of thought. The difference now then, the pointing is the Chinese call south on the compass, they call it Zinanzhen, Jilanzhang. Why they call it Jilanzhang? They don't call it Jipakzhang. Why the orang putih, the north, the arrow is always pointing towards the north? There is actually no difference. The only difference is where do you paint the magnet when which end of the needle. When they paint the magnet on the north, then of course the needle, the north will always point towards the top, because you paint the magnet there. But you paint it in the south, then you're of course pointing towards the south. Chinese compass, the south is painted with magnet, so therefore the Jilanzhang. The compass that you buy in the market is always pointing towards north because the magnet is painted in the north. That's the difference. So here, there is a formula. The way the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 move, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 9, there is a particular way that they move. In actually, the movement is an atomic movement. The atomic molecules, the atom, the way it moves is in this magic square manner. So the magic square is not because Chinese formulated it. The whole world followed it. Because the only way you can do it, that all the numbers become balanced, is only one way. You can see this, whichever way you add, whether horizontal, vertical, diagonal, or add up 15. 6 plus 1 plus 8, how many? 15, yes? 7 plus 5 plus 3, how many? 15. 2 plus 9 plus 4, how many? 15. 6 plus 7 plus 2, how many? 15. 1 plus 5 plus 9, 15. 8 plus 3 plus 4, 15. Diagonal, 6, 5, 4, 15. 8, 5, 2, also 15. The only way to place a magic square that everywhere else is 15, whichever way you add, this is only manner. And the atomic molecule manner. You want to have any further explanation? Let's go for our physics class. Okay. Now today, when we talk about magic square, it's given and you got the memory, remember this by heart, no two way about it. So when you look at 6, remember just now we talk about 6 in family relationship, the 6 is a father. Yes, 0, 0 is the mother. So 6 and 2 is in itself is a father-mother combination. Here, it doesn't add to 15. Why? Because you need a 7. Or else it cannot. Why like that? Next time, when you go for further class, I will explain why you do it. And that is the marvel, the trick of Feng Shui. You understand this theory, you can be a Feng Shui master. That's what I'm trying to make all of you Feng Shui master. Okay, let's continue. And every one of these magic square quadrant can also carry its own value. For example, when we got 100 standing on the east. Why east? Because the 1 is a 010 is north. So the east become green. Yes. The southeast become light green. The south, the 9 become red. The one in the north become white. So every location, every quadrant also has a color representation. Anyway, if any, but up to here, if you have a lot of questions, which you have to like, because everybody wants to know why. But introduction class, I cannot have that many why for you, because you want to explain this alone. The 2 weeks is consumed with this. You have no further class. That's all you like. So introduction just to entice you enough for you to go back and do the house for your father, do for your mother, do for your relative, do for your own house. That's all you are going to learn these 2 weeks. The reasoning and the physics behind it, let's leave it for the further advanced class.
You want to give caveat on the color on the screen.
They can't see
exactly the color that you mentioned.
Okay, I mentioned all the 9 quadrants color one time because on the screen, because of the projector, the color is not so good. Yeah. Okay, we start with 1. 1 north 010 is white. The one to your right, a 001, which is number 8, is actually earth. Earth, that means is yellow and brownish. Yes, because it represents earth in our representation. The 100, which is on the east, which is number 3, is dark green. The one that 011, which is number 4, on the southeast is light green. The one in the south, the 101 is in the south, is red, chili red. The one on the southwest, a 2000, is similar color with the one in the northeast. This is brown, which is earth. The one on the west, which is 7, the 110, is violet or purple. The one on the 111, which is 6 on the northwest, is dark violet or dark purple. The difference is one is darker, one is lighter shade. It's matter of is the hue that is heavier or lighter. So copied already, marked down already, done. We proceed, yeah? Okay. Now then we have completed our basic binary language and their basic representation and their numbers and their value, and plus the magic square. The magic square you will learn by heart. The color you will learn by heart. The representation you will learn by heart. The value you can use mathematics. All right, can we proceed? If we got to do on that alone, now today we keep on staying binary already. We don't go anywhere. Okay, but because you have copied this already, it is already in your computer, in the laptop, so therefore you can keep repeating this, and you have recorded what I've said. You can keep on replay many times. And next time when we have our chat group, jot down your question. We can discuss about this. We only discuss this only. We do not discuss anything further than this. Why? Because you got to understand everybody in the same class. You do not say you learn from elsewhere. You know more knowledge. You want to talk about that. I don't entertain, because we're talking about a class of the same level. Yeah. You are an eating expert, you better teach them first, then we discuss. Okay. That is the basic knowledge of binary. Now we start our class proper identification. It's like anything else. We must first identify who the person is. First, we got to know this person, the subject. Who are we doing? Who are we doing this environology for? We're doing for a human being. Yeah, we're not talking about dogs. We're not talking about monkey. We're talking about human being. We're not talking about the 12 animal sign. We're talking about human only. The human here, we want to know who are you. First, you want to know whether you are a male or you are female, you are a boy, you are a girl. What is your age? Things like that. Number one. Number two, we want to know how old are you? When is your birth? Because by your birth, we will then be able to know your age. We will be able to know your trigram number. So that's identification. So all of us born, when we're born, we're given a birth cert. By the time you're 12 years old, you're given an identity card. And that carry until you die. You have an IC number from cradle to doom, same number. Yeah. Singapore even better. Passport also same number. Everything same number. Malaysia, we got many numbers. Don't behave like Jackie Chan. Who am I? Go to Africa, you don't know who is he. No, let's remember, here we're not talking about IC number, we're talking about what is your trigram number, your core number. Your core number will stay with you until the day you bye-bye. That you cannot miss. How do we identify? One is we want to know, since we want to know what year you are born, we must know when the year begins. Yes. And the year begin Western or Eastern, we have that you are total unison. We say a year begins with winter solstice. Do we agree to that? Yes. Because Western, Eastern, everybody else except they have different beginning because they don't follow the sun. They follow the moon. All right. Then we talk something else. So we're talking about the sun. The sun has got a position every year on a particular day because the earth tilts at 23.5 degrees and it tilts back from winter solstice to winter solstice. That tilting full cycle is 365.242 days, exact to the decimal. What day is that? It's either 21st or 22nd of December, depending on the February is a leap year or non-leap year. So therefore, when you ask a person, give me a date of birth, and he will say it's in December, you ask one more question. December, what date? I say, I'm 21st. 21st which year? Whether it's leap year or non-leap year? Then you got to have a separation line, that the winter solstice, this way or that way, like that. Yeah. So we plot out 100 years calendar for you. You need to know, because I mentioned your year of birth and the day of birth, including the time of you happen to be in winter solstice. And then we separate for you, we also including whether you are male or female. Male and female have a different calculation for their trigram. Too small, is that? Yeah, we can give you a bigger one. We give you a simpler one. If you, because this chart is, you can actually have a 100-year chart. You keep in your notebook. Anybody will just flick, put the number, what year, what month, you got the answer. But if you don't carry them with you, you can have a formula to calculate. For example, if you're male, the example is year, month, date. How do you do? You use one, for example, 1940. 1 plus 9 plus 4 plus 8 is equal to how many? 22, right? Then we reduce it to single digit. 22 is equal to 2 plus 2. Yes, so therefore it's 4. So the formula here is 11. For a male, you got to use 11 to minus. So 11 minus is equal to 7. So a male born in this year is considered a trigram of 7 or quad 7. I will give you some example later. Now as a female, what do we do? Female is very different. It's a minus, it's a plus 4 instead of minus. Example, same year, 1948, you go 1 plus 9 plus 4 plus 8 is equal to 22. 2 plus 2 is equal to 2 is equal to 4. Then therefore, Well, because male is minus, female is plus. So already known that the number single digit is 4, 4 plus 4. So therefore, this female is 8. Trigram 8 or is square 8. Yes, it is very important for male and female for identification here. You got to know that between 1949 and 1948, you got to know the exact day and time of winter solstice. He could be somebody else, but this is a calculation you got to adopt. So ask another question: what month? Or if we say is any month other than December, the formula apply. If he's born in December, you have another question to ask: what day? If the day happens to 21st, 22nd, then you got to ask him what that year is, leap year or non-leap year. For that, you possibly got to come back to check this list, because this list will give you up to the last minute of the December winter solstice day. To the last minute. Before that and after that, like that. But this one you got to keep on practicing if you do not follow our name chart. All right. Example. Now here we give you an example. You do it. A male, 1988. Tell me what qua is it? Can you do it now? Just give you an example, right? I give you an example again. I flip again. Do it now. To make sure you know what I'm referring to. Can you? So we have 1 plus 9 plus 8 plus 8. How many is that? 10 plus 16 is equal to 26. 26, 2 plus 6 is equal to 8. Then 11 minus 8, 3. So this person is qua 3. Okay? Of course, I don't need to count lah, but to do exercise with you, I count lah. All right. Example for lady, 1989. Can we do it again? 1 plus 9 plus 8 plus 9. 1 plus 9 is 10. 8 plus 9 is 17. So become 27. Correct. 27 you got to minus 4. 27 is 9. Okay. 9 minus 4 you got what? Plus 4, sorry. 9 plus 4. Sorry, 2 plus 7, 9. 9 plus 4 is equal to 13. 13, 1 plus 3. 13 is still got to reduce single digit. 1 plus 3 is equal to 4. So this lady is qua 4. You can do it for yourself, you can do it for your boyfriend, you can do it for your girlfriend, you can do it for your daughter, you can do it for your son. So Anna, the whole family, what qua you also know. Yeah. And then from there on, we then learn what this qua means what, this qua means what, which we are going to. That's why you're going to, your take home value starts here. Okay. Here is a bigger one, 100 years. You don't want to do the calculation. The more you practice the calculation, the better you are. If you keep on following this without this chart, you are dead. You can't even calculate. Okay. We got all the years here, every year. It's all inside here. All right. Then these different qua will then give us a representation of what qua number is considered positive, what qua number is called negative. Why? Remember the earlier on we said harmony. Yes. The father and the mother is harmony. The father and the daughter is harmony of different positive. So therefore, you got to refer to the chart. That chart, of course, once you remember, you don't need to refer. So therefore, if the person is just now, like we do for the man, is 3, for example, right? It's qua 3. Qua 3, if it be qua 4, is considered harmony. So therefore, he need, if it's a 3 person, he need the door or the house 4, which we are coming to it. So therefore, there are, out of the everyone, we have 4 good, positive, and 4 negative. The 4 positive will be good if it means that if you are certain qua number, you have 4, when you draw a circle or do a magic square, there are 50%. When we do a magic square, there are only 8 sectors with the center, so therefore it's 9. Out of the 8 sectors, there are the 4 sectors are good for you, 4 sectors are not good for you. How good are they good? For example, this is a sector, harmony sector, or is it a wealth sector, or is it a health sector, or advancement sector? These 4 sectors are good for you. There are 4 sectors which are bad for you, which we call it negative. Up to this level, when the introduction class, we don't want to scare you. So we did not name the negative, how bad is the 4. When you go from here, then because we don't want you to have a 6 go and do people's feng shui and scare him, oh, this sector will die, this sector will divorce. No, not to that level yet, yeah. So because you don't know the reason, we want to give you the good one. You can only people that okay, you put a door here, you put a bed here, bring you positive vibes. That's all you learn up to this point. So from here, as you can see, we have all the 8 trigram and the 8 qua, and it gives you the yin and yang and all the relationship. But there are 5 more blank. The blank for what? For you to feel if it is a 0, 0, 0, yes, his positive is what qua, his wealth is what qua, his health is what qua, his advancement is what qua. And the last column is for you to put remarks. Okay. For those in the house, on the internet, what you can do is take a picture of this and print out and fill it in. For those that are here, we'll give you one. You fill it in, but we want to check whether you fill it rightly or not. Don't fill the wrong one and go back to the wrong one. Yes. On the end of the second day, we'll check on this. You understand? Because earlier on, we got the harmony, we got the wealth, we got the health, we got advancement. So then there are actually 6 columns there for you to fill. You understand? Yes. Don't understand, please raise your hand. Can? That, okay. Well, afterwards, during break, you still can ask. Huh? Okay. So then, this is an example of telling you, for example, 010, yes, his positive area are where? North, east, southeast, and south. And we also include the color for you. Let's say your door is in the north, you may want to paint the door blue. Understand? Just give you a representation, the color plus a good area and the location. So therefore, let's say 010, if you are looking for harmony, where do you think the harmony is? The harmony is in the west, in the south. So therefore, if this person, you want to find a house, you make sure his house, the door is in the south so that he will enjoy harmony. Can you understand? Can? If the door is in the east, then therefore he will enjoy health. If the door is in the southeast, then you will enjoy wealth. If in the north, you will then enjoy advancement. If the door is anywhere other than these 4, then he will be in trouble. So go back, you can look at your door, your house door. First, you want to know who you are first, yes, and then you look at, we got 8 of them here, yeah, from 010 to 100. Every one of them has different attribute, different. Okay, from 010, for example, the north here is the advancement, the harmony is in the south. When it comes to 100, the harmony is not in the south anymore. The harmony is in the southeast. The advancement is in the east. If it goes to 011, then therefore the harmony is in east and its advancement is in southeast. Yes? And ditto for all the other qua also. And this is what, repeat again, you can actually should then make use of this. To take home value, you must do the homework to make sure you understand. Now, on this identification, there is completed for this, for you to know who you are, who your spouse are, what sort of door you must look for, where does a bed to be placed, where the kitchen to be placed, yes, The kitchen and the bed all must be placed in a good area, beneficial area. The non-beneficial area, you can keep it as a toilet, you can keep it as something else. Whatever you don't want, you put it there. All right? It's just simple to understand. Actually, feng shui is very easy. If anything you do, not bad, you don't want, right? Anything that's good, you want, right? Period. Okay. Here we take a break. Yes, I will give you 15 minutes. Those online, remember this is a 15 minutes break. You can go your coffee break, you can have your toilet break. And in between, after I go for my toilet break, you can ask me questions. Write down a question, I come back.
The sandwiches at Firepot is not. Mushroom is there.
Macam stewardess Asia pula you. Siapa ada yang service? Okay, you can speak already. The crowd can hear already.
Okay. In the break, any question for the floor and online? Please prompt me about the question that you want to ask on what? On the binary and the identification only. Not future question, yeah? Question we're going to cover. On the floor, any question?
Alex.
Anybody from?
Yeah, I think you're the first.
Uh,
There's a question from Alex. Hang on.
Okay, yeah, shoot.
Good afternoon.
Hang on.
Okay. You give me a rope.
Hang on, Alex. I need to unmute Master's PC. Just 1 second. All right, Alex, give it a try.
Are you Alex?
Hi, good afternoon. Sorry, in my pagoda t-shirt, very hot here.
It's okay. It's okay. In a house, dress as comfortable as you can.
Yeah, I'm not naked at least. Yeah. No, just now that table that you asked us to fill,
Yes.
do you want us to fill in the magic numbers, the direction, or the binary numbers? Sorry, I missed
There
that.
are columns. There are columns for you to fill.
Yeah, what do we fill into the columns?
The columns are meant for you to fill from the earlier on that we have learned. But
Yes.
talking about one particular qua to another particular qua, for example, 0, 0, 0, the harmony is what qua. So you fill in the harmony, and under the harmony, you put 1, 1, 1, no?
Or you want the binary numbers instead of the magic square numbers?
Yes, binary number.
Okay.
This square we will not cover yet.
All right. Because then the location in the magic square, do you want the compass points, or do you want, what do you want in there?
It's whichever point you do, because we are not covered the matching yet. The matching later we will cover how do you select from what, the point of view from where, whether you stand from the door and look, whether you stand in the middle of the house and look, and things like that.
No, sorry. About this table,
No,
the first.
now only you follow the binary.
So everything we fill in binary.
Yes, in binary, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question on this? No?
No question. I just want to know what to put in.
Time break. This break, the question limited to binary and identification only. We have not covered selection and we have not covered matching, not yet. So any question on selection and on matching, it becomes future question that you have not yet learned, or I have not yet explained. I only explain binary and identification. Right, Alex? I only explained these two.
Yes, I just want to know what to put in the boxes on it.
No, anything on the question or homework is only referring to binary and identification.
Noted. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other question? No further question, we continue, yeah? So the break is now over. Everybody back? Okay. Now we go for next step, the step 2, which is selection. You see, on the step 1, we have done the binary, and then we cover step 1 on identification. In the identification, we show you how to follow a day of birth based on the beginning of the year from winter solstice to determine whether you are a male or a female and what qua number you belong to. From that qua number, we also have shown you by binary term about the relationship, whether it's in family relationship or on its human, the geological relationship. On human relationship, we have shown you the harmony, the wealth, the health, and advancement. Yes. So now from here, we want to learn about the next step, the selection. After know who you are, what is it meant for? So when it comes to selection, there are 2 areas. One, yes, we call it macro. What do we mean by macro? Macro means we are talking about anything outside the house that involves mountain, what involves landform, involves rivers, involves roads, involves electric and other man-made forces. We talk about the piling and the substructure. We'll also talk about the structure. This is what we call the macro. Anything within the house, we consider as a micro. So we will cover both macro and micro. On macro, for example, we say, how do you know if I want to buy a house, how do I know how to select a house? Yes, let's first start with historical value, historical example. We have done a lot of case studies. We've done a lot of landform and say which landform is considered good. How do you know it's good? Is there any historical event, any example you can show us? Okay, we have the world map and all the cities in the world. Without exaggeration, we have covered all capital cities of every country and see why they become a capital city, why their population are so good, why are the country GDP is so high, why the other people, the GDP is so low. Then the one thing we can measure is people congregate because they go to that place, they find comfort in that place, they find easy to find a living. And hence we measure them by monetary value. Number one. Number two, we also measure them by population. For example, you look at the map we show on the screen here. North America is more populated, South America is less populated, for example. And the same thing go to the rest of the world. Those who red dot are more populated, those who lesser red dots without lights are less populated. These are one of the examples, and we will then zoom in later to show you why. Okay. All forces, in physics, all forces move from high to low. It's a rule of thumb. Two, the transfer of energy is always from rigid to rigid of the same medium. For example, if you were sit in an aeroplane, the window that there's two pieces of plastic or glass. What is it meant for? It's meant for to stop the sound from outside from affecting you. So therefore, the sound got to hit the glass, then go through the vacuum. When it hit the glass, the speed and the movement of the energy of the sound has been reduced. By the time you go into the vacuum, you got to further transfer to another different medium and it further reduce. After that, you got to hit another panel of glass, it reduce further. So therefore, by the time the sound hit your ear, it is very, very little. Not that there isn't, but there is little. So the transfer is only from rigid to rigid or from medium to medium. From water, for example, if you are talking about heating from one side of the swimming pool, the energy or the transfer of energy from one side of the pool to the other side of the pool must go through the pond of water. So therefore, by the time you can reach that, then it's very, very little. As much as we have an item called geophone. Heard of geophone? No? Geophone is people who are finding hidden things in the ground. So what they do is they plant a lot of poles or a lot of tubes or a lot of electrical things on one side, and similar the other side, couple of miles away, they plant the same thing. And then they take a big hammer this side, and they see how long the energy will transfer to the other side, like a phone on the ground. So if this pillar and that pillar come out with the decibel or certain movement, and if every one of these poles have the same transfer, same energy, it means that in between this piece of land, there's nothing special. But if along the way, one or two of them give you a different reading, it then tell you something along the way is blocking them. Then they only dig there something else and see. That's how people, they start digging for gold, looking for minerals and looking for relics and things like that. They don't need to excavate the whole area all over. They use this geophone to identify. So forces transfer to different medium of material and void can be reduced totally or partially. Forces transfer from different medium may be via vibration, maybe void, pressure, or conversion, sound, light, electricity, etc., on the same principle. With that bear in mind, we then go on. I'll show you an example that if we are talking about these forces traveling from high to low, high mountain, under pressure that it comes down, you will then transfer the forces will transfer to lower. Give you an example. Where is the highest piece of land in northern hemisphere? Himalaya, right? If somebody was to hit a hammer on Himalaya, the transfer, you will then transfer all over the place, lower than Himalaya, for example. But by sheer mass, the sheer mass of Himalaya itself, it keeps on pushing downward. In geology, we know, science tells us that because of the plate of Earth's plate, Himalaya over years have been rising higher and higher because the plate pushing it up. But as you're pushing up, you also got pressure to push it down. Let me show you a simulation of what actually happened. The energy will push down. Three of the forces will go to China. And it hence end up China has got three major rivers. Two of the forces come down, one go to Vietnam, one go to Thailand. And they travel in such a manner. A smaller one go to Vietnam, I go through Burma, but we just talk about the major one. The major one comes through and come to Thailand going towards Malaya. But before you reach Malaya, you got to go through Isthmus of Kra. Because Isthmus of Kra is actually a small break of water that the energy cannot travel. So a lot of people thought the energy cannot travel Isthmus of Kra's river, but it's just not. It actually went through also, but at different depth. Let me show you. I repeat this one more time to show you that is how it travels. Sorry, okay. Okay. You see, there is a very basic principle in Chinese or in any geology. Between two mountains, there's always the formulation of a river. Between two big rivers, in between two rivers, there must be highland. And this is a basic logic of geology. So from Isthmus of Kra, where did the forces went? The forces went through. Because of these forces that went through, I use a term to make it more visible to you into P wave and S wave. You know what is P wave, S wave? In seismic term, when we talk about earthquake, when earthquake, people measure the earthquake by P wave, which is primary wave, S wave is secondary wave. So everybody used to say, earth wave cannot travel through water. Sounds to be true. But it can travel, not they cannot travel, very little, but there's one wave in this seismic wave that travel through water, and that is S wave, the secondary wave after the primary wave. Why? Because the traveling of the wave is different. It's not direct, the guy goes meandering. So he actually went through. And this is confirmed by seismic, by geology. Geologists confirm this like that. So when a mountain travels, it actually do not travel in one piece, one single. Number two, all mountains, all earth travel, or all forces that travel do not travel in a straight line. They always travel in a meandering manner, or they call it as travel in the vortex. So when you look at this mountain, once you understand about geology, you look at mountain, from the mountain, you know whether this mountain is a rock mountain or it's earth mountain. This mountain on the map here, on the screen here, is it rock or is it earth? It's rock. Why rock? Because Earth's mountain is travel and 40, 60 degrees. Like for example, you take a bucket of sand, you pour it on the flat surface. Naturally, the sand will form into such debris. But rock not the same, they go straight up. So you have been to Ipoh, didn't you? Huh? You have been there, right? Look at Ipoh's mountain. Are they rock or they earth? They are all rock. Yeah, because they are boulders. They don't have tapering type. Okay. These are Earth mountain. This is taken from Cameron. You see, the Earth mountain is very funny. The way the mountain they move, they meander and like river movement. And Chinese in Feng Shui, they like to describe this as dragon, long mat, and all that sort of things. Too excited. Okay. They look like dragon or look like snake. Actually, naturally, Earth move in a meandering manner. No mountain move in a straight line. Anything that is highland in a straight line are man-made, not natural. This picture is taken in Cameron Highlands. Yeah. Like in a sand dune. We thought sand dune, after the wind blow through, there's all sand. No, sand dune, the wind also move in the meandering manner. So as he left, he will leave a sand dune in that manner. Even sand dune has got syncline and anticline, because syncline and anticline makes a lot of difference to the camel. The camel will know where to hide, because if you are the syncline, you will be buried in sand. On the anticline, you will survive. Even camel know that. Okay. So in human, it's the same. If we look at the human being, you say, okay, which part of the 10 fingers, which part of the finger is the strongest? This, it is your claw. Yeah. So human finger, the claw is between the index finger and the thumb. And if it is in this claw and the thumb, which one of them is strongest? It is always the thumb. This index is only holding. And in the thumb is where is the strongest part of the thumb? At the nail or at the curve? Neither. It's just in between. Yeah. So ancient time, this Chinese, when they look for burial ground, they want to survey this mountain. They always look for this particular thumb to bury their ancestor, so that their subsequent descendant will do well. So they used to describe this as the claw of a finger thumb, and in this case, it is on the landform. It look like a dragon, look like a elephant, or look like a cow, or look like a tiger. So therefore, if a tiger, you would look for a tiger, sleeping tiger, with one of the hand holding the baby cub, so that baby cub can suck milk. So therefore, you bury the ancestor in that where the baby cub can suck, things like that. So these are examples that they use. So therefore, if we talk about river, if we talk about the meandering river, which part of the river is more positive? You look at the river. You tell me whether the deflecting part of the side of the river is better energy or the embracing part of the side of the river. Can you tell me? Yes. Just like this. The embrace is always stronger. Why? As the river meander, the deflecting part will keep on eroding. Whatever the erode, you will deposit whatever you collected on the embracing part. So the embracing part is always more alluvial, more fertile. The deflecting part always become very rocky. Over a period of time, the deflecting part will end up also in water. And for people to have, for a city to be developed and to become prosperous, funny enough, none of the city in this world that is prosperous is on the deflecting part of the river or sea. None, zero. All prosper because of embracing. For example, if you happen to know river, how many come from Pahang? None. How many come from Johor? None. Huh? How many, in which state, the city where you stay, there's a river, big river? Any one of you? None. None of you have any seen any river. Okay. Just to give you an example, you go to the Malaya map, you look at the map. Malaya, there's a town called Sungai Mati. Heard of it? You know where Sungai Mati? Sungai Mati is in Muar. Muar, formerly the river meander through Sungai Mati, is on the deflecting part. Over the years, it became an oxbow lake. That's why the Malay call it Sungai Mati. The river became a dead river. The Chinese call it Hong Sen Gang. It was used at one time a super duper town. Now no more. And this is what happens. So if you were to given a choice to select a property to build a house, or to buy a property that you have a choice to select, and there is a river going through, which house would you want to select in which part of the river? Would you be able to decide from here? Can? First answer is very simple. Look for the embracing side. Don't look for the deflecting side. Deflecting side over a period of time, your house will be in river. Embracing side, the land is always fertile. So human beings very funny. If they find a place, they go and cari makan. And then after that, they boko. Boko, of course, is cheap lah. Right? Cannot cari makan lah. If they go there and they make a lot of money, or they find tin, or they find gold, of course, they will get all their relative, all their friends to come and stay. So when people congregate in that manner and become bigger community from a little town, so kampung become a town become a city. That's how it developed. It doesn't, no city in this world pump all of a sudden develop and become a major city. Shenzhen take 30 years to develop until today. Deng Xiaoping wanted it, but that was 30 years ago. So this new place on the southern parts of Johor, opposite Singapore. What is the name of the place? There's a new city. Huh? What? Louder. No. Before that, there was another place. I can't remember his name. Huh? No. Before that, it was just somewhere up to the westernmost of Johor Bahru. Yes, Iskandar. Iskandar, when they were planning, actually I was invited as a town planner to develop. So end up, never mind the details. So anyway, I rejected for whatever reason. So end up, quite a few developers asked me to go and speak. So I spoke for quite a few. And the houses were selling the hotcakes very, very well at that time. Then a lot of good fellows are asking me, see, what do you think this place, Iskandar, government, developers say in 2, 3 years, 5 years, Iskandar will become, how big and how big lah? All the big air throwing all over, including the government saying that, the town planner. I said, no way. We cannot compare to Shenzhen. Why? Because we don't have the money, we don't have the human being, and we don't have Hong Kong. So therefore, we cannot depend on Singapore to develop Iskandar. They say, how long do you think Iskandar? I say, if 30 years, we're as good as Iskandar, as good as Shenzhen. But I don't think 30 years later, we're dead also. The town, the city will be dead. Today, if you go to Iskandar, why has Iskandar been? This is 15 years after they developed Iskandar. Is Iskandar any better? Whoever bought the property there possibly will cry until now, every day. They bought it, they hope 2, 3 years later, they can sell higher price to somebody else. Then actually everybody, Singaporean, buy 3, 4 units, hoping that they will make money. But end up, everybody think the same. Everybody buy, nobody want to, everybody want to sell, nobody want to buy. So if you want to develop and go to buy Iskandar, then I advise you, don't go. Not just rent from alone. There is no, it's not a Shenzhen. Shenzhen has got Hong Kong to depend on. They got the neighboring place to depend on. Iskandar, what can you do that? You only expect Singapore. Singapore one will sell their own property first before they sell yours. Anyway, this is what happened between embracing and deflecting. Naturally, you see that when the river meander, on the left-hand side, it's actually higher land. It's like a mountain, but it is a very piece of poor land. On the right-hand side, it is alluvial, but it will be more beneficial. The same thing like that. So forces travel in vortex manner because forces don't go straight line. Water don't travel in the straight line. They actually do in the vortex like that. In 4 forces going together, and they are like swirling. So therefore, our house, when we walk into the house, the forces going to the house also is in a swirling manner. There is no forces that go into a house in like a needle goes straight line in, and where do you want it to poke? Anyway, we'll talk about that later. So therefore, in that, we call it a Coriolis effect. For example, in your house, when you you got a sink, yes, you put a stopper and then you fill out the water, or in a bathtub, yeah. When you pull out the stopper, when the water going to into the downpipe, is it left turn or right turn, clockwise or anti-clockwise? Ever notice? Never. Tonight go home, watch whether it's left turn or right turn, clockwise or anti-clockwise. This water flow makes a lot of difference to our life. For example, a lot of considered feng shui experts, they possibly have done very well in Hong Kong, in Malaysia, in Singapore. By the time they go to Australia, go to New Zealand, it becomes their Waterloo. You know why? Because the southern hemisphere, northern hemisphere, water is different. I will explain that tomorrow. Therefore, water in the river and forces in the house, just like human meridian in your body. There is a specific way of moving, and they move with a specific purpose and special reason. If you don't understand the meridian movement, you do not understand forces movement. If you do not understand forces movement, then how do you know you're getting a right property or wrong property? Let's continue with. So living forces moves in the vortex manner. Only dead forces move in straight line like this. When the snake is alive, it moves in that manner, vortex manner. When the snake is dead, it becomes say lancing. That's what it means. So if you look into city, it's all the same. I pick here 10 major cities in the world by population. One, rank number one in population, one is Bangkok. Bangkok is embraced by Chao Phraya River. Yes, Chao Phraya River, very funny. On the right side is very, very crowded. On the left side is very barren. At one time, you want to cross from one side of the river to another side of the river, you got to take boats. But now you don't need, but you got to travel quite a distance to find another bridge. Yeah? And those who have been to Bangkok will understand that Bangkok's prosperity is always within the embracing and not the other side. Oh, maybe Bangkok, one example, not enough lah. Bangkok people, Thailand people are a bit don't speak the same language. Let's try another river. Huangpu River, which is Shanghai. Shanghai is embraced by Huangpu River, and on top, a Suzhou River actually form the confluence. And Shanghai's development is only within that confluence. Not Puxi, it's always in Pudong. Yeah? Why? Why people don't want to go and stay in Puxi? Why they want to stay in Pudong? Expensive, very crowded. Why do you want to go? Because that's where they can make money. You look at Russia, Korea. Korea, Han River has got two loops. Has got two curves, two embracing. But why two embracing? One embracing well, a lot of people, the other embracing, not many people. You see, the one with a lot of red dots are very prosperous. The one with the green, not many red dots, are very poor. Why like that? Because there was another smaller river form a confluence with the one with the red dot. But the other confluence is he has got this confluence hold this confluence have a deflecting angle deflecting it. People over this river cannot prosper. And now people don't want to say that. I mean, all the people you think they're stupid, they are not, because it's life experience. If they can make money, they stay. If they cannot do well, they don't stay. So once we look at the confluence, we look at the embracing, we must also see whether there's any negative factor. This one, the negative factor is another elbow. This elbow is hitting this whole area, and this whole area is totally two different stories. Okay, right now moving. Okay. This is Manhattan, New York. Manhattan is an island. Manhattan is not the mainland. Long time ago, people don't want to go there because you got to travel by boat to the island. Then somehow or other, they come up with the idea, they start making bridges, yeah, to link up the island. Once they link up, all the forces is being brought into the island from the neighboring landform. And all of a sudden, that piece of land become expensive and now become the most prosperous and the most populated island, if not in America, in the whole world. Talking, who is talking? Okay, anyway, that's shortcut. In Hong Kong, I'm sure you all know Hong Kong, right? Hong Kong and Kowloon is totally two different places. Why did Hong Kong develop faster than Kowloon? Anybody can think of a reason? You see, when England rent the place from China, they actually rented Hong Kong, they didn't rent Kowloon. So a lot of people said no, because this or the Orang Putih, the British people are very good. Many administrators, they administer Hong Kong so good that the Hong Kong become very prosperous. Not true. Why not true? They did something right. The only thing they did right was they did a tunnel. The tunnel linked Hong Kong to Kowloon. All of a sudden, the whole Chinese energy pumped through Kowloon went into Hong Kong. You look at the prosperity, is the red point. All the energy from China go to the tip of Kowloon, went to the northern part of Hong Kong. Not the southern part, but now, of course, over the years, become so populated that people start thinking Hong Kong cannot, not doable already. Why? So crowded that it's so expensive. Even the Kai Tak airport changed. They changed to another place. Now that little island, the little island here will be the next place we should look after, because they built another road to the island. So all the forces from Hong Kong and Kowloon will now go to that island. 30 years to come, that island is more prosperous than Hong Kong. During Ke Pu's time, the Ke Pu actually visited Hong Kong. And people asked him, he was in Kowloon, so his follower asked him, what is the name of that island? At that time, Hong Kong, there's no name. Ke Pu told him that this place, the feng shui is so good that there's 9 dragons. So people ask Ke Pu, say, why got 9 dragon? I can only see 8 mountains, why got 9 dragons? Hong Kong has got 9 or 8 mountains. So Ke Pu told him, one of the emperors is going to commit suicide here. And true enough, in the Song dynasty, in the Ming dynasty, one of the ministers actually carried the emperor, jumped into Kowloon, Hong Kong Kowloon Straits, committed suicide. So emperor is also a dragon, so therefore he got the name Kowloon come from there. Kowloon. Not only 8 is 9. Okay, now come to our neighbor. This is something very interesting. You all know Singapore, right? Do we have any Singapore people on our line? I always like to tell this story. You see, Singapore, when Stanford Rifles found Singapore, Singapore was having 50 family of Malay fishing village. Yes, and Stanford Rifles was very smart. They offered Johor Sultan, don't know, $35,000 or 35,000 pounds. They are different from Penang. Penang was a rental one. Hong Kong was a bought over. I don't mind paying 350,000. For 35,000, he bought Hong Kong, bought Singapore. Singapore was a poor, nobody want to go place. Then somehow, kind enough, somebody built the first causeway, because Malaysia, Johor, Singapore causeway. Malaya has got 8 mountains. These 8 mountains, the forces go all the way to Johor. And Johor those days was very prosperous, not by Singapore, by Johor Lama, not Johor Bahru. Those days were Johor Lama. Johor Lama was the capital city of Johor. Then they built this causeway. All of a sudden, the energy from whole Malaya rushed to Johor Bahru, went into Singapore. And the energy went, shoot all the way to Shenton Way. Do you know where is Shenton Way? The red dot in Singapore. And Singapore become prosperous, so prosperous that the energy starts moving sideways. One side to Changi, the other side to Sembawang. They go both ways. But the northern part, where this the Mandai area until today is still the least developed, because the energy doesn't go there. It just went straight through. And then Malaysia not happy, we build him another bridge. Yeah. And then we quarrel. We say, why don't you give him a crooked bridge? So we give him another bridge. So they're arguing. I think, don't just argue with Singapore, just tear down the 3 bridges, finish. They will go back to Stanford Rifles. I talk about this until I don't want to go to Singapore. The Singapore government don't like me. Now you look at that, this is what happened. From 1 bridge, you come to 2 bridge, and you see the development is all on the southern part. The northern part of Singapore, which is near Mandai and all the other places, are not as developed as the southern part. Why? Because the energy went there, did not go the other way around. So this is what I've shown you earlier on, the movement of the energy. Then I want to show you how the energy after Isthmus of Kra, what actually happened. They thought the energy stopped, the energies went up again. They rise and they break into 8 branches, into 8 mountains, and the main range is called Titiwangsa. Titiwangsa went to Kuala Lumpur. Kuala Lumpur, there's a park named after it called Titiwangsa Park. Yes, and that is after the end of it. And up to Genting, the energy break, the crack, and crack into 2 different branches. The one on the top, that's where we are staying. This is where we are staying. The top part, and then another one, the lower part, which is Putrajaya. Let me give you the detail of Kuala Lumpur and Putrajaya because we stay here, right? And this is the mountain, how it look like. Yeah, and how it look like, you can see, this is where, yeah, there's a claw. Can you see the claw? Yeah, and then there's another smaller claw in Putrajaya. And let me show you the simulation of the earth movement of this Kuala Lumpur. Can you see that? On the northern part is separating Rawang and Ampang. That's on this northern part. The northern of this is Rawang. This is Kuala Lumpur, this is Ampang. And then this is our before Kajang, there's another river, Sunaranga, and therefore Sunaranga is here, Klang River is here, and this is over Klang Valley. The whole of Malaysia, there's only one place having that claw, and that claw is called Klang Valley. So there's no wonder that Kuala Lumpur became the capital city. During British time, they wanted to make Ipoh the capital city, but they did not succeed. Somehow or other, people prefer Kuala Lumpur because, not because Yap Alloy alone, of course, because Ipoh's river, Kinta River, don't have this formation. This is the river in Klang Valley. In this Klang Valley river, it's very unique in the sense that, actually all the rivers are supposed to be blue color. If you have your own, Kuala Lumpur has a total of 106 rivers, visible 52. The other small one has been assimilated. So this is the place, the place here. You see that? That is the confluence of the Kuala Lumpur River, and there's a building there. The building's name is called Masjid Jamek. Okay. So Masjid Jamek buried 4 Malay Paji. And the whole of Kuala Lumpur, the best spot, best landmark, the best energy is in Masjid Jamek. And hence, there's no reason to have other people to manage the country, only Malays. We make them so. So the ancient Malays are not knowledgeable. They are very knowledgeable. Do you know that Masjid Jamek, the door is facing the confluence. The door is not, we always talk the place selling batik is actually the door. No, the door is at the tip of the confluence. Anybody know? Don't know. So therefore, I went there and I said, no wonder the guy who actually built this mosque was very knowledgeable. Because there's no reason to build a door facing that confluence. Who want to walk through there? And then from there they do a yard, do an opening yard, and then they are planted coconut trees. The guy was very good. The Malay who actually developed that was super. And hence, until one day this mosque is tear down, Malay will rule the country. Don't complain. It's like that. So therefore, everywhere you can see there are small areas in Kuala Lumpur which are very beneficial. For example, there's another confluence here. This piece of land is very good. These smaller pieces, that anything that this is super because of its not only its confluence, but it's big enough and it's sharp enough. So all the energy, the total of 4 rivers here, join up to form this. From Ampang River to Gobak River to their total 4 rivers to form into the confluence of Masjid Jamek. But there are many other good spots for those who are developers who wanted to buy yourself a good house. Not the Kuala Lumpur on a good land, very good, super duper good land. I do not know if you know of a family, Lok Wan Tho, heard about the name? Heard of the name Lok Wan Tho? You possibly heard of him, yes? I mean, not that because it's old, because you need that age to know who is Lok Wan Tho. The KT Cinema's founder. Yes, his son actually died in a crash in flying from Hong Kong to Taiwan. Died in the plane. And they still hold a very big mansion in Batu Road. Arif Chang now become Arif Chang's law firm. It's actually very good piece of land. I wanted to show a very clear picture of this one. I cannot. Anybody have a computer that can turn to this page? But you are KL people, possibly ever think of getting a piece of land with property. I want to show you some of the good property here. No, huh? Okay, never mind. Another day with our group chat, we can do that. And this is where Masjid Jamek is all about. Yes, the two sides got coconut trees, and there's a bush there. There's a bush. Behind the bush, there's a garden. Behind the garden is the main entrance to the Masjid Jamek. KL got some very good property. One of them is this Mid Valley. Yes, Mid Valley, as you can see, nearer to you, the river is Klang River, formed into an embracing arm holding Mid Valley, right? But behind Mid Valley, there's another road called Lornie Road, formed another embracing arm holding. So therefore, it's an oyster. Mid Valley became an oyster. You know, these places where the sea, what they call it, the pearls are actually developed in this sort of 蚌能生珠，这个珠就在蚌中生。So end up, Mid Valley is one of the Southeast Asia top shopping center. You know who did the feng shui? The name is called David Koh. I did feng shui for that. Yeah. Until I dare not go nowadays, you know what? I can never find a parking place. And there's another place on Raja Chulan is embracing the building. This building formerly was called Bukit Bintang Girls' School. Yes. And the embracing was so holding that the whole building is actually within the embracing. And this actually the top shopping center for the Chinese foreigner, but number 2 in terms of size compared to Sungai Wan. We know who did this building? His name is David Koh. So I'm very proud of the 2 major shopping centers that I have. You see, when we look into landform, want to buy a house, want to buy a property, we must be able to look at the surrounding of the mountains, of the rivers, of the landform. And looking at the landform, we must also understand how the forces travel. We have a simulation of models. We did models, and what we did was we do color air. When you do color air, you will be able to see the flow of the energy flowing after the landform, after the highland, after the lowland. Somebody called, agree? What's that voice called? You see, when look at the building, height building also, you got to see how the energy flow. But we may not see with a naked eye, but when the energy move, whether we wind or no wind, the energy will always blow from high to low. As you see a high rise like this, it will then hit. Does it go through the building? No, it doesn't. You got to negotiate and go by the side. Some of them bounce back and you go forward. And after you go forward, as you can see, the building next to it do not see any wind at all. No forces coming. You bypass them either from the top or by the side. And this you can already do by colored air assimilation like this. Yeah. So among all this building, where do you want to go? You see, the first one, the very clear example, because there's no building in front, he will go after negotiating, you go forward. If there's building in front, you go stand, you do U-turn. You look at the other one, which is a rectangular, very long one, the energy got to negotiate and go by the side. There's no choice. So therefore, if you want to have a building, if you want to have a house, you need to do this, because to build a building like that, it costs a lot of money. And after costing you a lot of money, you expect to be prosperous. But you go boko, why you spend the money for what? Yes. And the valley and the other, as you can see, is the same reason. The Kuala Lumpur, there are quite a lot of buildings which we call it sick building. Yeah. One of them is Phoenix. Heard of Phoenix? Anybody in Cheras? Phoenix? Last time called Phoenix. Now they changed name already. Long time ago, when Phoenix was built, it was on the elbow of the highway. And then at that time, it was very expensive and people thought it was very, very good. But hidden, opposite him, hidden inside, there is a place called Leisure Mall Shopping Center. A very small, don't know, 4-story or 6-story. But the other, Phoenix was very, very tall, very expensive. Leisure Mall still surviving, still doing business. Phoenix gone already. You don't even hear of the name. First, it is on the elbow side of the landform. 2, behind him is Lansing. It is actually a slope. It's actually a valley. So the building, 50% of the building is still standing on rocks. Yeah. So therefore, when we look at a landform, want to select a piece of land, few things we must remember. First, we want to see where the mountains are. If the mountains is nearby, easier to see. If the mountains is a couple of kilometers away or 100 kilometers away, you can't see. But you must trace up to that level, because the energy travel, if we can travel from Himalaya to Kuala Lumpur, why cannot it travel within 30-50 kilometers? Then if there are mountains, there must be a river, because there is no mountain without river. There's no river without mountain. So we've got to check the river, we've got to check the water course. We want to know where the river, where it begins, and want to know where it goes. Because at the beginning of the river, which in Malaysia, very little, very few, unless you go to Gunung Tahan, they are already formed river already. So therefore, you want to look at the elbow side, you want to look at the embracing side, that you must see. Or else you do not know, end up you build on the deflecting side, on the elbow side, then you're looking for big trouble. Yeah? Even PJ somewhere near here, we can see, for example, you got this hotel, what is the name? Section 16, what is it? PJ section 16, there's a hotel, what is the name? 16, 17. Check. Eastin Hotel. No, Eastin Hotel. Eastin Hotel, the whole place is not Eastin. There are 3 different blocks. Eastin is in the middle. On the first block is actually Star's newspaper's office, and on the far end is actually the petrol kiosk. Opposite that is a Malay cemetery, and the road is on the elbow side. Every day there are millions of cars moving. As a car moves, they bring the energy along. You know, if you see a house, if the roof is like that, yes, if the roof is like that, and the wind blows from here, the roof like that, the wind blows on that, where do you think, which part of the roof will be torn off? My right or my left? Yeah? The wind blows from here. The roof is like that. A lot of people say the roof comes out from here. No. The wind that moves there, it sucks this up. It's this side that got sucked up. Because I understand the geology, the geography, and the physics of forces. So we got to know if there's a river, there's forces, we got to know how it moves. Kuala Lumpur, other Malaysian towns and cities, I have written about this many times. I've written Kuala Lumpur for 258 articles in Star for 258 weeks. only Kuala Lumpur, road by road. If you find a piece of property and it's very cheap, and on top there is high tension cable with all the pylon, watch out. Not that it cannot be done, you got to watch out how far it is. Check TMB's safe distance. Normally, it's the height of the pylon times 1.5, both sides. And these are buildings that are built on steel. The whole house, once you go in, it's already second floor. What can you do with that? Can you take energy from here? No. This house that I've taken is one of my clients where I shifted them out. Many years later, it became a haunted house. People who go there are the drug addicts. You see, and it's something very funny. When energy, a landform energy go from high to low, but the wind will go from low to high. So therefore, which is fine that they build a house here, but where the door should be coming? The door should be on the lower side because then the wind can come through your main entrance. Or else, if your back door is here, then your back door comes to your backside. Like that, okay? So therefore, you build a house because you think, well, the back very nice, all the scenery belongs to you. But unfortunately, it's not good. A lot of people say, oh, T junction, the houses, they will sell cheaper. Most of the T junction in Kuala Lumpur, you see the houses either on sales or on sales on rent, on sales on rent. Why did they want for sales and for rent if they are saying so good? There must be a reason. Yes, you want to find a reason, you ask their neighbor. You ask them, they won't tell you. And this is, I will cut short on this. Another day, you have chance, we'll talk about China's landform, China's river, why the China cities built on certain area, why the China city prosper on certain area. But we can touch a little bit on Malaya, the mountain. Is it all in China and Malaysia? It's about all, this is about the same. You see, the mountains in China are on the north or northwest. Yes, and or northeast. That's what China is. Therefore, Chinese feng shui will tell you, why 左北向南? Because the back is higher, the front is lower. That's why they want to 左北向南. Nam must be southern, must be lower, the mountain is on the back. But not for Malaya. Our country is not quite the same because our landform is middle. We have the east and the west. On the east side, your west is highland, and on your west is all sea. So therefore, it's better facing sea than facing mountain. If you are on Kuantan, Terengganu, it's better for you to face east and the back on the mountain. We can like that. You can see where are the main range, and this is a natural taken aerial photography taken from Malaya. This is including what's under the sea. And this is the Klang River from beginning of the Ampang Semangat Height all the way to Port Klang. And this is how the running of the river. If you want to find a house, look at anywhere that has got cloth, the river cloth. Kuala Lumpur, there are plenty. If you come, Subang Jaya is one place because Subang Jaya is a whole gunny sack. Have you seen Subang Jaya? You know where Subang Jaya? You know or not? This is one. This whole place is Subang Jaya. This is not only it's a confluence, but it's a sack. The only gunny sack in the whole of Kuala Lumpur. You will house a couple of million population, and the people there will be doing well, with the exception for those who do not know feng shui and they want to build their house with the river behind their back. The river should always be in their front. And then you will do well. Now let's come back to this, come through this claw that we have. Remember this claw that we have? Yes, this is a claw. So this is a shorter arm, this is a longer arm, right? Can we see that? That is a shorter arm. So that is a thumb, and this is the index finger, like that. Not this hand, it's this hand. So the thumb is a better area. This area is very better area than this area. But of course, this one has a smaller one. Everywhere also, except certain landforms that just have totally no crop. And of course, if we were to be able to have a more detailed picture, what we call Google will not give you this because you need a land office buy a more detailed plan to see their topo map. Then possibly you will be able to find better plots. Everywhere there are good plots. The only thing is you find the wrong plot and then build on the wrong piece of land. Now, when we talk about landform, and then talking about building, there is a few things that we got to remember, which a lot of architects and designers in the first year of architecture learning, they learn about golden rule proportion. After they left the school, they never apply them. Why? Because the teacher never teach them how to apply them. Theory, they know. How to apply it, don't know. Because why? They were never told and they were never taught. That is a formula where Fibonacci's golden rule, he derived from Nautilus snail. Anybody heard of Nautilus snail? It's a snail that has got no backside. He curl, he got only the opening and his heart is inside. So therefore, from that opening, he come up with a formula. It's called 1 over x is equal to bracket 5 plus 1 divided by 2, which we end up with 1.618, 0, 338, and blah, 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 to there's no end like a pi. This was mentioned long ago, 5,000 years ago. The I Ching mentioned that Qua 34 is human, Qua 55 is universal. So the human divided by the world is equal to 0.618, 18 to eternity. So who is more accurate? Not only we don't have smaller one, there's a 1818 is to eternity. So I Ching has gotten Qua 34 is a human Qua, Qua 55 is Tinte Qua. That's what it means. So if we want to talking about a selection, whether it's selecting external, internal, we have to remember this, whether it's talking about the river, whether we're talking about the landform, talking about the mountain, we always got to remember this. But the application, we possibly will do some of them by tomorrow. Anyway, so therefore, we will then do, up to today, we do part of the selection, because by the time we do matching tomorrow, the matching is already into the micro. It's not on the macro of the external landform. So therefore, today what we do is you will, by the end of this session, this up to next week, you have basic understanding of what I mentioned earlier, and this Saturday we will then understand the understanding of how to utilize all this. Where is it? Icon. Okay. So the macro we have just covered. Then tomorrow, this coming Saturday, we'll talk about the micro. On top of the micro, we're talking about how to handle a compass. A lot of people have seen a compass, but not many people know how to handle a compass. Yes, you know there's a north-south. We don't know where the north should be and the south should be. Yeah, okay, that's what we teach. We will then teach how, using a compass to measure the internal of a house, we need the point of reference. Just like on identification, we need the point of reference. Who is the reference? Reference is the year that it begins, the year that it ends, that what Kwa you belong to. And that is a point of reference or the human being that we want to work on. And then on top of that, we will talk about the golden rule proportion by this coming Saturday, the details of how to apply this golden rule proportion to your house, to whatever you want it to do. And then we'll also give you samples of case studies of how to do a building. That after explaining to you, we will then allow you to apply. We give you a plot plan, and so this will you then tell us that if you want to stay in this house, where do you want to have the door? Where would you want to have a kitchen? Where would you want to have a bedroom? You tell us from what you have learned these 2 days. And of course, we're also having case studies and stories that have happened over a period of time. Okay. So you get ready for next week by having your house plan if possible. If it is not complicated, but we do not promise everybody's house plan will be used. Maybe selective, right? One of them. Try a lot. But so the people who come today and the people on online that we choose to come to this coming Saturday, coming here with an advantage. What is the advantage? Advantage, the practical is done here. We cannot do the practical online with them. Yes, so they can only send to us and we can only on the chat group. But the practical is only done here on the plot plan, on the measurement, on reading the compass and doing homework. It's all done here. And we also have a little gadget for you to play with, to prove a few things about life, to prove a few things about forces. Yes. And of course, help promise that by next week, whoever attend, whether online or in the class, will be giving a certificate of attendance coming from the university. And with that, for day one, thank you very much. That's the end of it. And now it's question time. So this is on selection, on landform, not on the house yet. The house is on micro. That is on next Saturday, on the first part of Saturday of next week. And the second part will be on energizing and how to energize a house. And then, of course, the other practical, and also collect your homework. So today you already given one homework. The other one is up you to choose. The homework is 8 qua on the harmony and all the others. Then on top of that, you can also bring along your families, do your own family's members qua. What qua they are, male or female. Remember the one you had? Yes, yeah. Plot them on. So by the end of the second week, when you go back, you can actually do some work for them. Take them as guinea pig as your first assignment. Here, of course, on the introduction class, we do not cover industrial. We do not cover offices because it's a different ballgame. A lot of people ask, after studying these 4 steps, what else do we do? The 4 steps from the introduction of 4 steps to the first stage of syllabus of 200 hours of syllabus to the first degree if you ever had, we still do the 4 steps. Up to master, you still do the 4 steps. The only thing is the level and the depth is different. For example, in identification, now we only talk about what number, things like that. As you go further and further, you possibly heard of from us, we also teach life profiling system. Life profiling system in Chinese term is study of Pachi. Yes, because Pachi is also a form of identification. Feng Shui has got 2 arms. One arm is on binary to study the forces. The other arm is to study individuals Pachi, so that the internal of the house, if you want to enhance anything, then you got to know a person's requirement. And everybody's Pachi, you also been told about your requirement. At the same time, Pachi will also be able to tell you about what is your capacity like. There are people born and they become a king. There are people who are born and they become a beggar. I mean, what is such a big difference? Yes, we have seen many cases where some of you who sit here also know what your father was and his contemporary were. I give you a real example myself. Yes, I come from Mua High School. My classmate's name is Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin. Okay, so we come from the same school. He became a prime minister. I only end up a Feng Shui master. So it makes a lot of difference. What difference? If we were to stay in the same house, he would still be the prime minister. I would still be the Feng Shui master. The difference of the level and the capacity is in when are you born. And this is something that is very difficult to explain unless you learn and you look at the people around you and see why it's like that, why it's like that. We have some very glaring example in Malaysia, like heard of a guy called Aslan Shah. Heard of him? Yes. He's the king. Yes. When he was studying law in England, when he was born, he was actually born autistic boy. He was not natural. Yes. When he came back from after England, after his law degree, he went to mass aeroplane. He went up. He went to the first class. He sit and he don't want to move. Nobody can move. He said, "No, I'm going to sit here. I'm going to go home on this seat." The captain, everybody pleaded with him, said, "Funku, you cannot." He said, I just cannot sit anywhere. I'm sitting here. He said, "But your ticket is economy. We find you a seat." He said, "No, this is my seat. Never mind economy this year." So finally they get the ambassador to talk to him. He had about him. And he came back on the first class seat with the economy ticket. I happened to bound on to see his party when he was the Lord President. You know, he was a Lord President before. You know, he was President before, right? When he was Lord President, somehow or other, somebody gave me his party and said, "Look, this fellow, this guy was another prince." They say, "This guy was autistic. Why you become like that?" Asked me to see. I got a shock of my life. I said, "Hey, friend, this guy is a king." He said, "He's already Lord President. What more can he be?" I said, I don't know. I'm telling you, he's a king." He didn't believe. I didn't believe. But somehow, some marvel happened. Sultan Idris died. You know Sultan Idris? You see, Perak had got 7 families. The 7 families take turn to be sultan. If you are sultan, your son cannot be the sultan. Wait for 6 terms. So every family, every one of the 7 families becomes sultan. Then you become your 7th generation later after you become sultan. So somehow or other, Idris was a naughty fellow. He changed from 7 family to 3. Idris is considered a cowboy of. He was considered a cowboy or something. So everybody take turn to be Agong, except Perak was not given because the guy walked on the street with double pistol like a cowboy. So people don't want to have villa people to be Agong. Then when he died, the next family take over. The guy on the 2nd week he take over. He got heart attack. He went to England and he died in England. Azlan Shah became the 3rd on the line. From nowhere, from no chance to become a sultan, a Lord President become a sultan, and when he becomes sultan, 3 weeks later, the Negeri Sembilan Agong died. So he became Agong. That is what life is all about. You don't believe it happened, but it happened. Yeah? I'm talking about history that happened like that. And this is, Feng Shui cannot change a person's life. We cannot change your destiny. Feng Shui can change your luck. I mean, if you are born to be able to receive 1 billion, Feng Shui can help you to get 1 billion. That's all. Not $1 more. That's it. And if you're born as a pauper, Feng Shui will make you a happier pauper, not a rich pauper. No. Now we must know the limitation of what Feng Shui can do. If a Feng Shui master come and say, "I will make you like this, like this, like this," ask him a question. Why didn't you make yourself one? Right? Why you make me millionaire? Why don't you make yourself millionaire? For what? Right? So it's not possible. These are things that the limitation that we can do, the limitation that we cannot do, and we don't fight to do that. So what you want to know, what you learn and what can do, what you cannot do. There are things that we cannot do by any standard. Feng Shui has got some limitation, and some Feng Shui has got some taboo that we must know. Once you learn, though it's introduction, but you got to know what you can do, what you cannot do. Feng Shui in Chinese term, what you got some type, some type. There are 3 types of things we do. There are 3 types of things we don't do. What we do? Gu Yi Gua Fu, we do for free. Widow and orphan. Feng Shui we do for them, FOC, no charge. Tai Peng Mu Yok Yi, Feng Shui Thai. People like cancer, Feng Shui must do for free. Yeah. People who are poor and study very well, also must do for free. Some Thai, people who are ministers, who are big authority, we cannot see. Because if we do help him to make bad, the guy will be worse because he got power. Ma. Number two, drug addicts and drug trafficker, we don't do. Why pay chok tai, gangsters, underworld, we don't do. These are some Thai, some Thai. Of course, a lot of people who look for money, they do lah. But unfortunately, there are a few who hold on to the principle. I, for one, I know practically all the gangsters, all the taiko in Malaysia. I know them. They invite me for dinner. I don't go. Drink coffee, I go. Ask me to say cannot. Why cannot? I'm not free. I'm forever not free. So there are things that we got to limit ourselves. We don't do just for money. We do for the principle. There's one thing I wanted to do, but I have never succeeded. In my family, we have special teaching to teach people who are deaf, who are blind. Yeah, we will teach them to do feng shui and to do bati for free. But the people who we teach, when they pass on the knowledge, they must only pass on to the deaf and the blind. Reason is we don't want them to be a beggar. This is not me alone, because from our ancestors, we have been taught this. And I cannot teach non-deaf, non-blind. I can only teach deaf and blind. But I add one. Just recently, I found somebody who is a deformed person. Deformed until his whole body's bone all crushed. Bone, crushed bones. Is that tall, slightly more than a foot tall. The head is half of the body. The chest and the leg is joined in one piece and all broken. Bone broken already. So they wanted to put steel bar with it, also cannot. And wherever they put, it just break. All the bones just keep breaking. And since young, even cry until he grew up, that he understand that there's no cure. Now he's 39 years old. He's a boy. I offer him free. I wanted to do it together with Guanghua newspaper in Penang. The girl chief editor was very kind also. He said, okay, simple like this. I help you. I help you to find students. I also help you to find developers who are willing to sponsor. Then the developer came and said, yes, I have a few shops. Take any one of them. I furnish it. They can come free, no charges on rental. And you also provide table and chair. He said, Sifu, how much you want to charge? I said, no. If you're so rich, you just pay my airfare and hotel every time I come. Yes. And the people that after they learn, I said, okay, you can only charge per person 200 ringgit. Because one day, if you do 2 clients, you already want 400. 400 times 3,000 over a month already. To cook for you to make a living. But if your 4 clients come, well, you already rich already. Because you don't need that much. But after that being said, this lady, somehow got herself migrated to Australia. So, tak jadi. I also met people who come to my house and swear, promise heaven. After I told them the story, they say, sure. After they go on, they never come back. Because it's a very long-term commitment. When I'm alive, I still want, the wish still on. So I offered this boy, this man, I said, I don't want you to come alone. I want you to take the lead. And I'm sure you got other people, other friends who are like you. Yeah. It is not you suffer, it's a parent dare not die. Because the die, who is going to take care of this boy? So it was still in my heart, in my mind, I've been thinking, because my days are getting shorter and shorter, lesser and lesser. So I still want to do this because I found that in China, in Hong Kong, Taiwan, apparently I'm the only one left with this knowledge. Nobody else have this knowledge. Because if people who have this knowledge also, I don't think they are willing to do because no income no income. What do you all think? This is totally sacrifice and help. That's all. No return. Zero return. Okay. What time now? Okay. Now, if you have no question, I will call it the day for next week. Yeah. Do your homework, and next week the first thing you want to do is that have a lot of questions and get your house member all together free. Their party, everything. I do not read party here because it's not within our scope of study. That will be a separate thing. Some asked the question about after this class, this week, next week, what else next? Yes. We have discussed with help on certain things, but we have not come to this is a test run. We do not know how many people can join the subsequent class because the school is run on commercial. So therefore, they must have numbers. No number, very difficult. When we started, we published through internet, published through WhatsApp. We got only 5 people, and I refused. I said, no, 5 people I can't teach. So I said minimum 10, but this round we got 15, okay lah. We got 15, good number. Whether online or offline, I'm okay. So because after these 2 days, we can possibly form into a club. We call it the chat group. In the chat group, but it's only limited to this group. We exchange information, we exchange knowledge. Anything you don't know, you want to ask, anything you want to learn, we can within this chat group. Yeah. After this, we do not know whether we hold the same class again or not. But the people who want to do an actual class, the actual class is divided into stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. There are 3 stages. In these 3 stages, per stage is about 100 hours. Yeah, but like these 2 days, we have about 10 now. So it's 10 times of these 2 Saturdays as stage 1. So there are 3 stages of this. We call it elementary, intermediate, and higher. After these 3 stages, if you want to go further, you will then go for a proper degree, which is a bachelor degree. And after the bachelor degree, there will be an extension, like a PhD. We call it a master. But of course, the degree and the master depends on we get the permission from the government, because the approval of this is not ourselves. We need the government to approve that. We have one in PAM, Persatuan Architect, we have a diploma, because PAM itself is a higher learning place. So they can certify a diploma. So we got a diploma in PAM, but the condition is you must be an architect. Non-architect, we can accept. You can also enroll into Tsinghua University, which you have a master certificate, not a degree. It's just a master's paper, master Wenping, only not a degree. And that takes 6 months, continuous, no break, by Chinese. We have a master in Tsinghua, one in Beijing, one in Shenzhen. Yes, also I conducted these two places. The syllabus, I wrote the syllabus in Chinese. There's one in Indonesia, which is a PAM Indonesia, collaborate with the Jakarta University. We have similar like this, 100 hours, 300 hours sort of class. But because it is the equivalent of PAM, so PAM can issue the certificate. So the only thing we can see in future is to see what HELP want to do. If HELP want to do the stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, go ahead. if help want to continue with this, then my number is anything less than 10, I don't do that. Yeah. And of course, here we're lucky, we're 15. I'm sure we can form a club out of this. So you all have new friends, share among yourselves, look into landform and enhance your knowledge. I have a I'm a YouTuber also. In my YouTube, you type your name, David Cole. I have some, I don't know, 50 or 60 commonly asked questions sort of videotape. In YouTube, you can download, that one is free. That one my student take for me, just ask commonly asked questions, so I answer what can be done, what cannot be done, what one should do, what cannot do. That one don't need to pay. But if you want to continue yourself further for the matter of interest, if you want to pick this up and become teach people or pass on to people to help people, then the club, our own club, is able to do that. Here we do a lot of funny things, like we can pre-see a person, the child born, whether the child is autistic or not autistic. If we know the child born to be autistic, we help them and tell the parent that do cesarean before the child is born. Yeah. Down syndrome, they don't need us because the government, by checking the DNA, if it's not 23 pair, the doctor will tell you about it. Yeah. But cesarean for this autistic, doctor cannot tell. They only tell only 3 months after birth, but we can tell before he was born or she was born. And that a lot of people ask, aren't you go against God's will? Are you acting God? I said, no, if by doing so, I'm creating a sin, let I be punished. Because the child did not do anything wrong. Why should he be born autistic? Not only he doesn't know he suffered, but the parents suffer. We have a small autistic center in Cameroon. When I started the center, Cameroon has got 8 families has got autistic kids. I don't know if they continue, I don't know. So these are little things that if you are a practitioner of Feng Shui and you are also a party person, there are little things that you can do. Party is not only reading people's life. People who are doing HR, you can tell people whether this person suits the job or not. Don't employ a right person for the wrong job. Don't employ the wrong person for the right job. You suffer, they suffer for no reason. Yes, and you can actually help children before they go to higher learning. They always fall to the trap of their parents. The parent is not a doctor, but the parent wanted the children to be a doctor. So they tell the children, you better study law, you better study medicine. If the father wanted to be a lawyer, cannot be a lawyer, tell the children you study law. But the children may not want to study those subjects. So Emma, he's not a good doctor. He wanted to be an artist. He'll never be an artist. He's not a good doctor. And he wasted his life. So therefore, we can help these children to pick the right line for his future life. And a lot of children and the parent cannot see eye to eye because children from 14 years old onward, girls and boys are the same. They are a bit rebellious. They are different generation. They thought the parents were outdated. So therefore, end up their communication, a lot of problem, and some of them become depressed. A lot of children go to America, cannot complete the study, they come back depressed children. Yeah, I've come across many of those. Some of them are my own students' children, and these are the people we can counsel them because the parent cannot counsel them because the parent is only iron hand method, only giving negative encouragement. The parent very seldom give positive encouragement. Negative, why they only say, hey, you better study well. And the neighbor that one, the son studied doctor, now become doctor, earn a lot of money. So these children, since young, they have been giving negative encouragement. Not that you well, no, you do better, people do better. Never say do however bad, never say clap. Sort of positive way of encouraging. Currently parents are very busy working, so they can't afford it. Anyway, you don't let me talk. Once I start talking, I can't end. No. Okay. No more further questions. See you next week, same time, same place. Yeah, 2 o'clock. Okay. Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.
Yeah, thank you so much for.
Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.
Thank you everyone for joining us today, and we'll see you next week, same time. We'll send you a reminder email again, and if you have any questions, you can ask it in the group chat. Okay, thank you. Goodbye.